interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Bilal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gon' give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
Thank you all for being with us. Episode 69, Remember the Show. We appreciate all you joining us live Thursday nights. Jason Anik joined by the 5th-ranked UFC Welterweight Bilal Muhammad. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a fight. We didn't have a fight a week ago. Now we have a fight. The undefeated Sean Brady is going to take on Bilal. Remember the name Muhammad, our guy. Dude, a lot to get into, but congratulations. So excited for you. I'm sure you're glad to have a name, get this thing moving forward.
Yeah, definitely excited. Like you said, once you have a name on paper, once you have a date, like everything changes. It changes like your whole mindset. You're not just training just to train. It gives you motivation, and I'm definitely motivated to punch this kid in the face. Like there's levels to, the last 3 or 4 guys I fought, they're all nice and they're all like respect, and then you got this dork just wants to come out, talk all this trash, and then like this whole situation just pisses you off because the whole scenario, I'm sitting there expecting to be why Sean Brady. I'm expecting for it to be like a Chimaev. The fight made the most sense in the world. There's no other guy in the division that's on my win streak or fought the same guys I've had. Yeah, Leon Edwards is on my win streak, but I've literally seen if you watch his press conference with Usman, it said notable wins for Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz, Donald Cerrone, and Dos Anjos. All 3 155-pounders. And I looked at it and I just like laughed and giggled. Yeah, so then I'm sitting there and then but for me, I'm a guy that's healthy. I'm always training. I'm in the training room, and I wanted that date. I wanted Abu Dhabi. I wanted definitely to go back there. I wanted to fight over there. So I was really trying to push that Chimaev fight, but they kept coming up with excuses saying, well, he's not there. All we have is Brady. Then you ask for Gilbert Burns. Well, we're looking at him against Masvidal. I think they're going to do that one. But then you start looking at yourself and you're like, man, are these guys like in cahoots? Because, I had the manager and I'm working with the manager and I'm working with Ali, and, he manages Gilbert and he manages Usman, and you're like, is he just trying to save Khamzat for Usman? Because obviously that's a big money fight. Then you're looking at it like, well, Gilbert makes sense for Masvidal because that's a big money fight. So then it's throwing you off. But for me, it's like, it just pushes me harder because it's like, if they don't believe in you, I know I'm going to believe in me. So if my manager's sitting there saying that Usman's the best welterweight in the world, we're obviously not on the same page because I think I'm the best welterweight in the world. You're not on my page right now. We're not thinking the same time right now. You
like hearing this
pound per pound, and we're not that level. So we're not on the same page. So maybe I have to start looking at Chael Sonnen to manage me because he's the only motherfucker out here that believes in me. That's pushing my brand.
I like what I'm hearing out of your mouth. It's interesting. You are always mature and have a good perspective. So for me, even last week when I mentioned the Sean Strickland thing and I was like, oh, I didn't hear anything from Belal. And you're like, nah, I'm not even going to say anything. So for me, my mindset almost like once this Brady came about, I tried to get in your mind. I'm just like, you know what? Fuck all this. Like, let's move forward, handle that business in Abu Dhabi and just keep this train rolling and just block out the noise because it's madness. And look, I understand, Chimaev or Burns and all the different, potential opponents. But the bottom line is this is a guy that you were supposed to fight in December of 2020. Hasn't lost yet. He's beaten 5. He's had 5 fights in the UFC. He's beaten all 5 of them. So let Belal handle him and just handle what's in front of you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things too, where it's like a guy like this who said my name and he said my name. And then he put me in the same category with him calling out Dustin Poirier, Nate Diaz, and Steven Thompson. So obviously he thinks he could beat those guys because he didn't mention Chimaev's name at all. So for the fact that he thinks that he could beat me, that just pushed me even more because when I freaking finish him and I laugh at him and he had like he even had like his manager who looks like a freaking Guido car salesman was like trying to talk trash on Twitter. And I was like, who's this dork? So it's just all motivation. And it's like, it's one of those things where I said, I've always wanted to fight like Kobe Covington, somebody that I disliked. I never met this kid before, but I dislike him. And it's just going to push me during this training camp. And then you also think about it too. It's like for the UFC, like I said, I'm not dumb. Obviously, the UFC sees Usman against Chimaev, and I tweeted out yesterday. I said, I think I'm the worst matchup for both those guys, and I think I could beat both those guys. But obviously, they're the two big money fights. They're the money fight if they fight each other. So for me, even if I fight him in October and Usman beats Leon Edwards in August, and then they end up just handing it to Chimaev, the title shot next, they're still like, after I demolish Brady, who's going to be after that? So I'll be next in line regardless of that fight because there would be nobody else. So I think either way, I think still pushing me forward. This kid, he has a lot of hype. People think that people are afraid of him. They're saying no to him. I just think this dork is just not saying no to fights himself. And I think that he's the one turning out fights. He's pulled out of probably how many fights since he's been in the UFC. So, be careful what you wish for.
I like it. So that question that just went away. So what did you think of Brady? Because you remember every seemingly round you've ever seen. Brady's performance, I believe unanimous decision against Chiesa. There it is. What is your brain recall about? What did you think of that? I think it's a good question.
I think it was more so that, he obviously controlled Chiesa on the ground. I think it was Chiesa maybe underestimated his ground game, his wrestling. Chiesa is usually the guy that takes people down, but Chiesa outstruck him. Chiesa was about to break him. If it's a 5-round fight, I think Chiesa wins that fight for sure. I know he was coming up with excuses saying, oh, well, I had blood in my nose and I couldn't breathe out of my nose because of that. It has nothing to do with the steroids I'm taking and the muscles on me. But it was just because I was having blood in my nose. Not dork. You just had no cardio. You called for a 5-round fight after a 5-round fight after there, and I was sitting there laughing because I'm like, bro, you barely had cardio for a 3-round fight. So that's what I saw.
Man, I'm just enjoying fired up Bilal so much. I mean, we dropping mother fudging. I'm all fired up over here. So speaking of 5 rounds, so this is going to be a 3-round fight. We would assume best case scenario, a co-main event. Would you? Right?
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah, it's not going to be on the pay-per-view in Abu Dhabi, and hopefully we'll be up there with those guys depending on who's on there. I'm thinking that it's going to probably be Oliveira against Islam. I think that's going to be good. And appreciate you, brother. Man. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good one. And especially if that's the main event, I think it'll be huge. And just to have me down there, I think it's going to be more so for me to show the UFC my worth, to see how the crowd's going to cheer, the energy that I'm going to bring when I'm walking out there. Just when I fought there, 4 years ago, it was crazy how much the people had love for me. And it was amazing to see, because when even over here, you fight here in the U.S., and then there's morons here that'll still scream USA, USA when you're fighting, but I'm American. But over there, they just treat me like I'm from there. So it's amazing.
I love it. Everyone's seeing this energy, and I think it's fascinating what you said, and I'm frankly loving hearing it, because I've always sort of been so curious in the dynamic with Ali managing so many of these guys that are so, it's not just like, look, I know Gilbert and Usman were boys, right? You like best friends, right? Or training partners, right? You obviously aren't that close with those two, but some of these conversations Ali must have to navigate. I mean, like, it's just nice for you. Whatever, like, it don't even matter. You take care of Brady, just keep the train moving, man. It's just really nice to hear you say this, man, because it's a tough thing to navigate.
Yeah, obviously from him, like I said, I see it from everybody's point of view. And like, if you're Ali and you have Gilbert Burns saying, give me Masvidal, that's a money fight. Obviously you would understand Masvidal is a way easier fight than me. So if I get to fight Masvidal and it's an easier fight, why would I want to fight Belal instead of him? So like, I could understand that. You have your manager tell me, then me telling you, like, I want to fight upward, like, you're stuck in between. But the UFC knows, and my manager knows, that I'm a guy that's going to fight anybody, and I want to fight the toughest test. I want to fight the guys that they think can beat me, and I want to fight the guys that they think is next. When you see guys like Paul Felder saying, well, I think Usman needs a challenge like Belal or Sean Brady. Sean Brady's not in the same category as me. And then on October 22nd, I'm going to show you that we're not in the same category, and I'm going to show you that I'm that guy that's going to beat Usman. When he's see him doing this dumb stuff, standing against Jan Blachowicz, and you're like, bro, you haven't cleared out the division. All these are rematches. You're rematching Leon Edwards. You rematch Masvidal. You rematch Kobe. You did beat Gilbert, but these are all still rematches. There's still a lot new blood in the division that you haven't fought yet.
I'm with you. So, like, my wife says to me today, I think she's like, Bilal looks big, right? And I'm like, What are you like on Bilal's Instagram, right? I certainly know she follows you, right? But it's not like that's a regular part of her day. And I'm like, no doubt. Like, I mean, I commented the other day, just it is fascinating to see you out, sort of out of camp. But obviously having a name this week, I'm sure in your mind was different focus, different mental brain thoughts in the gym this week.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm a guy I'm always in the gym. So like when I'm eating and I'm still lifting weights all the time, yeah, I'm like a bodybuilder. But
Yeah.
like you said, then it gets to now it's the mode of, all right, now we start trimming down. It's easier for me, but I'm never like over 195. So like I look bigger, but it's just because we switch up our training routine, our lifting routines to build strength. And then now it's more agility once it starts getting to camp mode and just still maintaining health. This is where you pick up the more cardio stuff. So, man, I can't wait to turn it up. I love having a day and I love having a name, and it's a different level now. It's a different energy.
So will you be in Dallas on July 30th?
I'm actually going down this next week, to help to go get some training in down there with the guys at Fortis.
Nice.
So I'm gonna go down there, get some training in. Ramiz's supposed to fight in the card in Dallas. Not sure. I just think that he just pulled out today, actually.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, he just had a couple of injuries, but I already booked to go down there. So it's going to be some good work to get down there anyway with the guys. Jeff Neal's down there. He got a great big fight coming up. So
yeah,
it's going to be always good work to switch it up. We got another one where Nacho's supposed to be fighting on that card, Ignacio Bahamondes, but he's stuck in Chile right now. He still hasn't got his visa. They're really messing this up for him right now because he was supposed to be back literally a month ago, but getting past that whole visa thing and things right now, it's just rough for him. So I don't know if he's going to be able to make it to his fight, honestly, on that day as well.
So on a lighter note, a tweet you pushed out, I think 9-10 hours ago with Nate Diaz as a heavyweight. Maybe Cody can pull it up, but I don't even know when I came across this thing, but just unbelievable. Some of the things you put out there. And I guess some of the comments were pretty fascinating, but it's unbelievable how realistic that looked, and obviously doing all the shit we do on this show with all the face smash and stuff. When I see you push something like that out, just anyone who didn't see Belal today push out a tweet of heavyweight Nate Diaz, you got to check it out.
It's funny. I was listening to his interview yesterday, and he was talking about, obviously he's a guy too that wants to fight, and he wants to be active right now, and he wants to just get this fight out of the way. Then when he said that the only two people in the UFC right now that are worth me fighting are Francis Ngannou and Israel Adesanya, so I laughed at it. It was funny. So I was like, dude, I got to push this out. But I mean, he's a guy that's obviously frustrated. He wants to fight. Like, I don't know what's going on with him as well, too. Like, I would have fought him. Like you said, I'm just trying to stay active. I'm trying to still push. I'm just trying to figure out what they're going to do. Maybe now that they have me fighting Brady, it'll give them an excuse to make the Chimaev against Nate Diaz, where everybody could be like, hey, what? This fight don't make sense. But they could be like, well, who was Chimaev supposed to fight then? So now, like, it all keys in, I think.
I just imagine, but sorry, I think I just wanted to see the image again, maybe. Anyway, that's pretty funny.
You look like
dude,
one
I
of the
wanted
guys
to
off Sons of Anarchy.
So I have to bring up Darren Till real quick, just because I feel for this guy so
Yo,
much.
before you do, he kind of looks like he'd be on Pawn Stars.
Oh yeah, Pawn Stars too.
With the goatee, it's just perfect. The double chin, it's just perfect. But no, Darren Till, you just can't help but feel for him, and it's like people. It sounds cliche. Oh, these guys work so. But it's like what you all put into your camps and your bodies and what you do to. It's like Darren Till hasn't tasted victory since I think like the end of 2019, and I really feel for the guy, and. Just talking about him being at the lowest point, and I'm like, but he's 29 years old, and he said today, he's like, I haven't even dented my prime yet, and I guess I was happy to hear that because I feel for this guy, man. It's not easy sometimes, guys that get bit by that injury bug,
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like the hardest part is the training camp. We saw last week too, where the tarantula said that, I tore my arm the week before the fight, and people don't understand how hard it is to train because the fight is 15 minutes, but we have 8 weeks of literally fighting every single day, grappling, running, and you're always telling yourself that I need to push harder, I need to go harder, I need to do something else. I've literally trained 3 times in a day, and I'm like, man, I've been sitting down too long. I need to go run. I need to do this. I need to push myself even harder because I'm assuming that this next guy is pushing harder than me. I'm always assuming that the guy is working harder than me. So I'm thinking that I need to get more workouts than him. And with the way we train, it's a lot different. And then a guy like him, I've heard stories about him too. Like I've asked the guy, is he lazy? He's all just joking around. Dude, he's like one of the hardest workers in the room. He's the guy that always pushes it to the limit. And you feel for a guy like that, obviously coming off of a bad stint and a guy that they thought was going to be champion. And then you lose at 170 and you go up to 185 and they keep talking about you against Adesanya and they're hyping you up. And then obviously you believe in yourself, but you keep losing. So you just want to push harder. Obviously he's even pushing harder in the gym. He's going from gym to gym. He's training with Kamza. He's training with the right people, trying to get better. And it just sucks because, life's not fair. Fighting's not fair. Like you could sit there and train the hardest camp of your life, the best camp of your life, put all the work in, all the days, all the hours, all the sweating, all the blood, all the tears, and you can still go in there and get knocked out in 1 minute. And people still making fun of you like you didn't train hard enough, but they don't know what you're actually doing on the outside. They don't know how hard it is. And then when they say, man, why did this guy cry after a loss? Because so much goes into the training camp. So much goes into the stress of, man, everybody thinks I'm going to lose, or everybody's counting on me and I got to push myself. And especially him, the whole country's counting on him. He's the co-main eventer there. I'm guaranteeing he was probably pushing harder than he's ever pushed.
And it's blowing up. Well, speaking of blowing up, we got a special guest tonight. This dude is dripping with talent. This guy who's joining us. There he is.
What's
Host
up,
of the
boys?
MMA Takes. So neither one of us has met
go.
this fucking legend, Brian
Not
Petrie.
yet,
Nice to
not
meet
yet.
you, brother.
Nice to meet you, boys.
The fifth-ranked welterweight Bilal. Remember the name Muhammad.
Absolutely. I remember a date, September 13th, 2014. I saw this guy fight live in Chicago against Chris Curtis. My guy got a little contentious, Bilal. There was a little heat.
Oh, you were there.
I was there, yeah. Me and my wife love to go to Chicago. In Chicago, I was like, hey, we're going to go spend the weekend, Chris's fight, and all works out. And I got a little contentious, my guy. I'm glad you guys made up. You guys are Twitter buddies now, and he was on the show last week. So, yeah, I saw you fight live. I believe that's the only time I've seen you fight live. But, yeah, obviously a big fan. You made me a lot of money so far with those dog numbers. So if we ever link up in Vegas, Crocs on me, buddy. Crocs on me.
Man, I see he's going to the Crocs right away.
Yeah, I'm wearing them right now.
He's a big Crocs guy, and there was a little text going back and forth with Kenny Florian about the Crocs.
I did.
Brendan Schaub had something on his Instagram the other day. That's how I feel. Opposite side, but just check his.
I saw you counter like, come on, Jason, what the fudge?
Yeah, I mean, both my girls got Crocs, and they put the holes. We're not going to talk about the holes that you put stuff in, right?
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so we're talking about kids and Crocs. So Brian, I have to ask you. So
Yes.
Bully. So last week he was going to come on to congratulate Chris Curtis on his victory the prior week, and also on what's happening for him in London.
Mhm.
But he tweets out a picture of his 5-year-old daughter with an enormous big cast, who I believe broke her hand and her wrist. So
Correct.
how is this Winnie? Is this her name? Is her name Winnie?
Winnie's her name. She's
So
a nut.
tell us how your daughter's doing, please.
So she's at the in-laws house and she's climbing on a stool. Value Boys, shout out Value Boys, baby. She's on a stool and she falls and she tries to catch herself with like a toy box. So her hand bent back. And I have broke my fingers are mangled. I've broken my hand several times. And she came to me the next day and her hand was swollen. I'm like, oh, it's okay, sweetie. You fell pretty hard. The next day, both set of her knuckles are black. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
Okay, this is a little different. She already had an appointment to go to get her because she just started kindergarten to get her medicals and stuff for kindergarten. So we're like, hey, can you just look at this? And they popped in an X-ray. She actually fractured, your finger, I don't know the medical terms, but your fingers go all the way down your hand. The bottom two fingers she broke and fractured her wrist. And the wrist almost required surgery, but they just put a cast on her 3 weeks. She'll be okay. She's loving the cast though, man. She's milking it while she's worth her little pink sparkly cast. It's great. But yeah, she's tough. She's doing all right.
Well, hell, man, I got a 5-year-old girl, so that's no joke.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It's crazy how it took a day to realize it was broken. One time, my younger brother, we were training at the gym, and he was trying to do a muscle up. You know what a muscle up is when you go all the way up on the pull-up bar? And then, he's not athletic. He's not very strong. So, he did it. And then, he got off, and he's like, oh, my arm hurts. And I was just, laughing at him. And he's like, oh, I'm literally, punching his arm. Like, dude, man up. Stop being a little sissy. He acted like he twisted his wrist. And then the next day, we found out that his, forearm was, broken. Like, I ended up like cracking, and they did an X-ray, and like the whole time we're like making in front of him, hitting
Yeah.
it, and I was like, bro, we didn't realize it until the next day. It was funny.
Yeah.
Tough blood, both y'all.
That's
So
tough.
So obviously Brian does picks on his podcast. Dude, you got a new show. What, Wednesday Takes now? You got a new show out too?
I want to try to be more than a one-trick pony. I'm going to go a little like opinionated. The headlines at MMA, you know, they know me as the gambling guy. I'm going to kind of give us some opinions out there. Maybe talk some fight announcements. I was going to cover Belal and obviously Sean Brady. That's a big fight announcement as well. And just cover some stuff like that. Give my opinion based on some things. And I actually had a conversation with your brother today about it. Because there was a certain guy I was going to maybe go after, and I just wanted to see if it's okay with Johns. I mean, my name's attached to John. I didn't want shit to come downhill for him. But, yeah, so just like an opinion-based thing, I think Belal maybe has a problem with this guy as well. He has a very fairly large nose, and he's in the media business.
Oh, how long?
Yeah. I do not love him that very much. Long history with him.
Coming at him.
I'm sorry, what?
Like, you're gonna be coming at him, or are you gonna bring him on your show?
No. I have some beef with him. I do not.
Oh, okay.
I think he's bought and paid for, and I think he thinks he's Mr. I'm for the fighter, and he's not. But you know what? You know, I have some opinion. I have everything written down. I'm not going to troll him or anything like that. I'm just going to literally just have some feelings. But I had a conversation with John because I didn't want shit to get to John because you know, that's not fair to John because of what I say. But yeah, I just it starts back in 2009, 2010. I had some email exchanges with Errol Hawani that wasn't very pleasant. So,
ooh, I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, tune in Wednesday Takes next Wednesday. Little plug.
You just sold me right there on that preview. You sold me.
Yeah, man,
exactly.
yeah.
It's so funny because that's a history, right? I'm always saying to John, like, what's the beef with Ariel? What's the beef? I'm like, what do I miss in here? So you got some history there.
A little bit, yeah.
So anyway, Petrie does picks on John's podcast every Monday, which doing or even Sunday. This was doing these picks like a week ahead of time. Obviously, things can change and lines can change and different things. So I know you've picked some of these fights, but at least we'll talk through a few of these fights. Just because,
let's do it,
dude. I could listen to Petrie talk. You could read a fucking textbook to me, and I'd be learning something. And
that's high praise. That's high praise.
100%. So we'll start. We're going to do three of them. So the Leech, and I know you picked this one already, Petrie. So who knows if you'll be on the same side, but Li Jingliang, Muslim, Salikhov. Salikhov's minus 175 I saw today. The Leech plus 150. Always love asking Belal about welterweights, certainly.
Yeah.
So Leech, man, had a long, successful, well-documented UFC career, been around about 8 years. Most recently choked out by Chimaev last October. But this division, as we know, Belal is so stacked. Even though you made a quick climb, Belal, it's not like this guy Lee at Leech at 14. It's like even to crack the top 10 is going to be a challenge. So needs a big win. Salikhov won 5 in a row, but he's 38 years old, unranked. Certainly a big fight here. Bully, let's start with you, and then we'll let Brian take it home.
Yeah, this is one of those interesting ones because Muslim, man, I feel like he rarely ever fights. He's a guy that obviously he has exciting finishes here or there, but then there's also fights where it's just like he'll just sit there and stay on the outside and won't really throw much. Leech, a guy that will knock out Ponzinibbio, and you think that he's a monster, then he just looks like a dud against Khamzat. Obviously, Khamzat's proved himself a little bit, but after that last fight, I think that's probably why that Leech is probably the underdog here. I figured, to me, I would make him the favorite. But I think that Muslim is a better judge of distance, better judge of making the pace at his level. Leech throws kind of wild, big haymakers here or there. If they land, he can knock you out. But I think Muslim having a good win streak, he's fought guys like the Leech already. I think that Muslim could outpoint him and win a decision.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Bully nailed it. I just think Muslim's a little too pretty sometimes, right? He's like, look at this kick. That's cool, but it's not going to land. Look at my punches. His technique's great. I think the Leech is going to make this fucking dirty, grimy. I think he's pissed off about the Hanzan fight. I mean, he didn't really get the fight. This dude this dude used to foul dudes in UFC. Like, he's got a mean streak, stick his fingers in cuts.
Oh, my, yeah, I remember that. Jake Matthews. I was like, bro,
the Jake Matthews. But this dude is mean, and at plus 150, I don't think you're getting a better number on this guy here. I think he's right. I think the line should be closer. Muslim fights, but people forget about him. His last fight was in 2021 against Trinaldo, which I don't really remember that fight. And I remember all the fights. I just think he's a little too cute, a little too pretty at times. I think the Leech is going to have maybe a tough first round, maybe judge a distance here, try to figure out how to get in. And then I think Muslim's going to slow down just enough and the Leech is just going to start marching forward. I see a decision 29-28. I can see the Leech knocking him out because he has power. He put down Ponzinibbio, which isn't easy to do. But I love the number at plus 150. I have him written down plus 140, so plus 150's got me excited, boys. I take that all day.
I like it. All right, so co-main event, the ladies strawweight division. So Michelle, and what's it? Her last name's Waterson Gomez. She get married? I see this.
Yeah, I saw her. She's wearing Gomez on her shorts.
Gomez.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hasn't
Yeah,
she been married though?
She's been married, yeah.
But she changed. So she is
Maybe
Michelle
she's a
Waterson
male.
Gomez. I saw.
And I will say, I mean, at least so she. I mean, yeah, but she's been with her husband for like 10 years. Whatever. They have a daughter together,
right?
And she's he's her manager as well, I believe. But that's a much better hyphen than Ian Gary's hyphen. Who
Machado Gary?
Yeah. Did you guys hear any of that? I'm not gonna.
I did
explain it here, but like that was
You
pretty.
can explain it
sus.
here. This is a podcast.
Explain it, bro.
Well, so Gary took his wife's hyphenated name, I believe, but
Right, as his middle name, right?
no, I think he hyphenated his last name, didn't he? Or did he make his last name? I don't know. He has a part of his fight name, either way.
Yeah.
And it's because his wife has a ex-husband who they have a daughter with, and he doesn't want his kid to have a different name as as his other son or whatever. But like, it's just that would not fly with me. That would not. More power to him, but like that would not fly with me.
I like to think I'm pretty progressive, but that's tough for me right there. That's pretty tough, man.
But dude's a badass. Had a great fight last couple of months. So,
well, she's hot. His wife, like the karate hottie.
I think.
But anyway,
karate. Isn't she his manager too?
Yeah, I think she's.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I think she's his
and then does
manager too.
everything for him
Yeah.
So Michelle Waterson, on the mic today said that it's been 4 fights since she's fought in front of fans, and she just cannot wait. And that's nuts. Like thinking that Apex is just a different beast. So it's interesting. Hearing her say that, it sort of backed me in her corner a little bit. She's been in there against everybody, the toughest of the tough. Problem is she doesn't beat them. Rose, Joanna, current champ, Esparza, most recently Marina Rodriguez. She's a significant dog here again. I'd love to see her get it done. Lemos is just dirty, and I'm glad to see her in the cage quickly after the incredible Jessica Andrade with that standing arm choke, just nuts back in April. But prior to that, her had some real momentum. She had won 5 straight. This division is just stacked. So I think it's got to be a big moment for Lemos, but I'd love to see Waterson do something. Petrie, we'll let you lead on this one. I know I've heard you pick it once, but let's hear it again.
Yeah, so on my podcast, I issued a challenge. I said, can anybody give me a reason that Michelle Waterson would win? Because she's trying to find herself right now. She used to be a very good striker when she fought at 105. She is a very good striker, but now she's trying to grapple a little bit more. She's trying to put it together, which is fine. I think she's a little undersized though, but she has looked to be phenomenal shape. I saw some pictures of her. She does look like she's added a little bit of size to her. Lemos obviously coming off the Andrade loss. But I got filled with DMs of people going, look at that fucking number, Brian. Look at that number next to Michelle Waterson. But I'm staying true. I'm going to be a chalkboard here. I just think Lemos is going to be a little bit better, a little bit more prepared for the takedowns. And I think at distance, Lemos does hit really hard. Michelle Waterson, as flashy as her kicks are, she's got a really good push kick. She does get hit a lot. In her fight, she does get tuned up a lot. She has the better resume. I understand why people are chasing this number. My Achilles heel in capping is women's MMA. I'm really bad at it. Something I need to work on. So I'm going to lean Lemos here. I think it's going to be a decision. It could be a close fight if Michelle really tries to grapple her here, but Lemos has that power, man, and she's got that short hair that bounces all the time. I just love watching it. Let me go Lemos here. 315's chalky though. It's pricey. I think you're going to play a prop here. I think you're going to want to maybe go decision. I mean, Michelle Waterson's tough to get out of there, but knockout would be a nice little juicy number. I don't see me playing this straight.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Like you said, Karate Hottie, she's been in the game for so long, but lately she just hasn't really looked that good. And it's a lot of the stuff where it's like she does stuff that it doesn't really make sense, where she'll either stay on the outside the whole time even though she's losing, or she'll take bad shots. And like obviously she's trying new things, but I just don't think she's getting better at those new things. I just think Lemos, she had a lot of hype before that one. I also think she lost to Angela Hill before that that last fight. Angela Hill did a better job, but I just think that Waterson's going to be too small for her. I think Lemos is, like you said, she got power. She got really strong hands. I think Lemos could I don't think she's going to finish her, but I think she's going to light her up a little bit.
Yeah.
So main event and Bully, I gotta say, like with Yair Rodriguez, him talking today about not sparring, right? And you've trained with him, and I'm sure you've been aware of this. I don't know how long it's been where he just doesn't spar. Have you been aware of this, Bilal? That I'm sure that he just has this been a long time that he hasn't sparred.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I trained with them probably started 2 years ago, and I trained with him for a full year, and it was at first I was like, man, this is weird because even when we were drilling. He'll just throw stuff at me, but it wasn't touching me. So then I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna do it. Even at drilling, you would at least light touch the guys I'm going with now. But with him, he wasn't doing it. He wasn't he was just shadow boxing with me in front of me. And I was like, man, it's weird, but I'm not gonna hit you if you're not hitting me. But then I was like, it makes a lot of sense with the way that his stuff is, and he's so creative, and he does spinning kicks here and there, and then you can randomly kick an elbow, or you can randomly kick a knee, and it's so easy to get injured. And a guy like him, where he's in all these big fights, and the goal is to make it to the fight night. And like you said, he's fought, he knows how to fight. There's no thing where there's guys that are like, oh, I need to spar hard to feel what it feels like to be in a real fight. He's been in some of the best fights ever in the UFC, and all of his fights are always exciting. He takes a lot of damage in these fights, I think, just because he doesn't take damage at practice. And he could go with Max Holloway and have a broken foot and broken face, and people are like, how the heck is this guy still standing? It's because he doesn't have that long wear and tear during training camps. And I think that honestly it helps him a lot, especially the time off that he has usually. A lot of guys are like, well, he's probably not training if he takes this much time off. He has one fight a year, but I think it's more so because his fights are so grueling. They're so tough, and they're such wars. And guys are probably oh, that last fight against Max Holloway, he was lighting him up a little bit, and it made the Max Holloway shoot on him. So if Max Holloway's shooting on you, trying to take you down, it tells you something that, he was in a bad spot with Yair.
Just fascinating to me. It's like Dominic Cruz must spar. It absolutely must be part of his training. And then you get the mental side of it, where Corey Sandhagen had to get to the place where he is just a straight up killer when he's in there. The way that he felt like Aljo had that killer energy when Aljo choked him out that he didn't have. Whereas a guy like Belal might be just peace and serenity to be calm, right? So it's fascinating to me. You got to sort of hit the right notes for yourself, whatever it may be. Anyway. So we're going to talk about these two guys, but if I'm Alexander Volkanovski, even if I'm one of the greatest of all time, I'm always going to have nightmares about Brian Ortega and how that choke. I still sit here. I have no idea. Got out of that choke.
Unreal.
Anyway, question is, can he get the crispy Yair Rodriguez down onto the ground and have a different result? So Yair obviously coming off that loss to Holloway that we touched on. It's just amazing how inactive both of these guys have been relatively for no fault of their own. T-City, all he does is win his 2 losses, 1 to Max, 1 to Volk. If this was a pay-per-view main event, I'm all about it. I can't wait. Certainly Yair's fighting for the title if he wins it. Obviously Ortega has a loss to Volk. Petrie, I've heard you dish on it, but I'm going to start with you again.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the main event.
I love this fight. I've been going back and forth in this fight. My initial lean was Ortega because he's got that deep ball, man. He's got the home run ball with either the triangle or with the guillotine. It's, it's death. It really is. But then Yair Rodriguez, you look at the Max fight. Max was coming off the Cater performance, which was unbelievable. It was one of the fights of the year. And then Yair, I think, was the better man on the feet, more dynamic. They both took big shots. And like Bully said, he made Max shoot, which we never really seen. And the question I keep coming back to, and I got this a lot on Instagram and YouTube comments and stuff, was, well, Yair throws these flashy kicks. Can Ortega take him down? Absolutely. But when have we seen Ortega go for takedowns? You just don't really see it. I think if he takes him down, he could be a problem here. I don't think Yair's going to take him down and get caught in a guillotine or anything like that. So it's very interesting. Ortega's more of a, obviously, long arm boxer. He likes throwing that uppercut. He likes throwing the jab, but he also really slows down in fights. The only fight he didn't slow down was a Korean Zombie fight. He fell off a cliff in the Max fight, and he has a great chin, great heart. Fell off the Volkov fight, great chin, great heart. But if you fall off in the Yair fight with your cardio, you're going to get your fucking head kicked off your shoulders. And that's just a fact. The kid is special on the feet. I like him a lot at plus 140 here. Brian Ortega has a reputation of losing fights before he wins them. And I think if Yair stays composed and stays within himself here, man, he can pick him apart on the feet and possibly get a finish. I don't know if it's going to be a finish because Ortega is fucking nails. But give me Yair here. I like the plus 140 big time.
Bully.
Yeah, you made a good point where I was going to say where you're like, all Ortega does is win, and then his only 2 losses are Volk and Holloway,
Max.
but like literally all of his fights before that, he was losing all the way probably to like the last second, and something crazy would happen. We'll end up winning, and you're like, I just always think back to like a million of those fights, and like you said, you never really see Ortega shoot. Even in the Max Holloway fight, you're like, well, Max, he needs to shoot on Max. He needs to shoot on Max. You're getting lit up on the feet, and he never did. He never tried, or he wasn't really good at it. And Yair is really good at wrestling. A lot of people sleep on his wrestling. I've trained with him. He trains with Izzy Martinez all the time, and he has really underestimated wrestling that people don't really realize he's really good at it. Yeah, Max took him down a couple of times, but I just think it was you weren't really expecting Max to shoot on you.
Right.
So you weren't really training as hard, and Max was shooting under, striking. When you're thinking you're striking, Max shoots on you, and you're like, oh, crap, you're stuck. But, yeah, I think Yair's kicks are the X factor, man. They come from everywhere, and they're so fast, and they hurt, man. They go so hard, and they come from all angles. And he's the guy that he don't care if you check a kick. He'll still throw that kick. He'll break his foot, and he'll still throw it at you. He'll break his leg. I forgot he was like there was a quote on him I read where he said that like something like it doesn't matter, you'll die anywhere or something like that. Something crazy where I was like, it was like a nuts mentality that he has. He has like a crazy gangster mentality. He's not soft. Where people will sit there and be like, oh, well, he was afraid of Zabit, he's this and that. I'm like, dude, he's not afraid of anybody. That the way that fight never played out, or people are like, well, he was on steroids. I'm like, bro, he's like a Don Cerrone, bro. He'll be at the gym one day, then I'll see him in the mountains, and I'm like, bro, you're not gonna sit there, put it in your phone all the time where you're going. He's a guy that's everywhere. And so it's like it's cool to see a guy like that, and to be able to actually train with him and to learn from him. It was cool, and I think that he's the toughest test in that division stylistically for Volkanovski, besides Max, obviously. And I think that if he wins this fight, I think that he'll be a real tough test for Volk because, like I said, those kicks are an X factor for everybody in that division.
And his speed. Volk was a step ahead of Max. I don't think he'll be a step ahead of Yair. Yair is fast, dude. It's crazy. I mean, his kicks are like punches. I mean, it's impressive to watch.
Yeah, and he'll smack you with them from all angles. You won't even see it. Then his hands are really good too. He does box. He does really have good boxing. I just think that if he puts it all together better with his grappling, because I said he got really good wrestling when he's offensively wrestling, and he can take a lot of these guys down. Obviously, you don't want to do it against Ortega, but he's a full martial artist.
You like that, Bully? GSP's been real quiet since Bully entered the top
Real
five.
quiet. Real quiet.
My brother.
So before we get out of here, so the prelim started at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So Bilal, you don't have children, right? So what, you'll work out before, then watch the whole thing, and then work out after? Is that what your day will consist of?
Yeah. So we're gonna have early practice, and then I'm gonna probably do weights during the fights.
Of course.
I got my gym in my garage. So, but dude, the fight I really wanted to talk about was Brian. Who do you have in the Ricky Simone fight against Jack Shore? That's the fight.
That's the best. I think that should be co-main event.
Right,
no disrespect to Michelle Waterson. That's the fight I'm looking for the most. I have Jack Shore. I went chalk because I don't know. But Ricky Simone, I watched it as a Sansa fight. I mean, this dude's hands are getting so good. He's fucking bricked up. I mean, he's big dude, thick dude for 135. And the way he put down on Sansa, I know Sansa's a little older and stuff, but man, his head movement, his power is big. This is a big test for Jack Shore. I went chalk, but I drive down to Indiana to place my bets on Saturday. I might change my mind. This is the one that I'm flipping back so hard for. I feel so bad about it because I gave out Jack Shore on both the Anik and my podcast, but I'm like, man, Ricky Simone as a dog is fucking nice.
Dude.
Who do you got, boy?
Man, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at even his wrestling, man. His wrestling's so good. And he's
so good.
He's like a Marab where he'll shoot on you 20 times and take you down 20 times. And like you said, his hands look so good his last fight. This kid's a beast. I'm like, people are sleeping on him. They forget about him. But man, the kid's a monster.
Yeah, I think the one thing is like cappers like me, idiots like me. The one thing burned on my brain with Ricky Simone is the Uriah Faber loss. 40-year-old drive, but he got caught. It happens. But you go and you look at what he did to like Ray Borg, who's a great wrestler, grappler, and he bodied him. I mean, Ray Borg didn't have a chance, and Ray Borg's a good fighter. He's just a little undersized. You look what he did against the Sunset. He's a world-class fighter as well. Jack Shore, I think, is going to be the better jiu-jitsu guy, but is he going to be the better wrestler? You know what I mean? And Simone can wrestle, man. So I think that should be co-main event. I can't believe it was buried on the prelims. I'm shocked by that.
Yeah, that was the one I was looking at. I was like, man, where the heck is it? And then nobody's talking about it. I'm like, bro, this is the fight that I'm most excited for out of basically all of them besides the main event.
Yeah.
Dude, those prelims are going to be fire. And I had to shout Punahele Soriano because that's your boy, Bully. And Dude, he's lost a couple in a row, and last one was a split. But dude, I want to see him knock someone. Nothing like watching that boy knock someone.
This
out,
might
man.
be the fight. Dolce's gonna stand with him, man. This might be the fight, man. I got Puna. I picked Puna. He's in one of my parlays here. Big, heavy handed. He can wrestle as well. I like him by sub. Oddly enough, I mean, Cody Brennan's got Dolce last time. The sub is a crazy plus number. I mean, that might just be like a $10, $20 play to hit 8-1. Because I think Puna's got some pretty good chokes, and he does have good wrestling. I think people sleep on that. Like, he has like a credential wrestling background. So I'm on Puna.
Like another one of those guys where they don't realize the guy's got really good wrestling. I grappled with him. I trained with him. He has really good jiu-jitsu too. Dolce's such a muscle head too. I would want to get him down early. You don't want to bang with him early. Puna loves to bang though. He loves to freaking put people to sleep, and he's probably very motivated coming off of 2 losses. So, but Nick Sick's one of those guys that comes up with great game plans. I'm hoping that he's gonna have his shoulder right. He's gonna choose the right game plan for him, and we're gonna win this fight.
Yeah, Cody, you want to talk about this fight?
Well, it's just bangers on the prelim. I mean, Shane Burgos versus Charles Jourdain. There's no way that this fight isn't good.
That's how
this is another prelim.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that
maybe
was
it's on main card. I don't know. It's all one.
Did they
card.
bump it? You might be right. I'm not sure where they lined this up. Yeah, that's a banger too. Shane Burgos from New York. I'm figured they didn't put him. Figure they put him on the main card there.
Right. Anyway,
yeah, a lot of these fights. I can't wait. Saturday's gonna be a good. I didn't realize it was early, but yeah, that card's gonna be sick.
It's a good card.
So, Brian Petrie,
Yes.
you're gonna have to come back and be on the game show at some point.
I want to. I've been practicing. Bully. You see how quick that was?
That's good. No, I like it. And frankly, with respect to Ray Longo, I don't think that would have been the best matchup. I think we need to challenge you a little bit.
Yeah.
Aaron Bronstetter is dangerously good.
I swear to God, I was just thinking about that because he keeps telling me like, "Yo, you find me a challenge yet?"
Yeah.
So that may make a ton of sense.
I like Aaron, and I watch the show all the time. I struggle with the he or she. That's the one I struggle with. And that last week, by the way, the most Chris Curtis thing in the world is he doesn't get his own fucking face. That's the most.
Oh my God.
He did himself. Oh, the real quick story before I go. When I met Chris Curtis at the gym, I don't know if Bully knows this. I used to train with Chris many years ago in Cincinnati or whatever. And I met him and I'm trying to impress him because he's like 4-0 as a pro right now. I'm just a nobody. I'm trying to talk to him, impress him. I'm going on my MMA knowledge, and he's just sitting there like, yeah, I know GSP is. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's what you took from all that? Okay. He knows nothing about MMA. He just trains, watches anime, plays video games, and he's a fucking badass. And I love it.
It's really interesting because Jalen Turner was on the show as well, and he sort of commented, like, we were asking about something. He's like, I don't really watch some of this stuff. And I said to Bilal, I was like, almost everyone we have on is like a head. They watch it all. And I said to John, my brother, I said, Jalen Turner, he said he doesn't watch this stuff. And he was like, no, there are a lot, but more than you think, some dudes like that aren't watching it like that.
Cowboy was like that too. Cerrone didn't really watch much. I think that these guys that are just, Boley can probably talk about this more than I can. These guys, they just live it every day. They train every day, and they just maybe need like an escape. Like, let me take a little break. Let me not just keep up on every card. But then there's some guys that fall into it and they do the analyst role, and like Bilal's worked the desk because he knows everything, and Kies has done a really good job at that as well. So it's different passer guys. But yeah, Chris knows. I was literally I couldn't call in because I was with my daughters, but I wanted to call in as like a lifeline and help them because some of those nicknames I'm like, bro, how are you not getting these, man?
Right. Oh, you'd be hitting some of those, no question. Anyway, man, great having you on. Love what you're doing.
Awesome.
One thing I'll say too is a lot of times with my brother John, given the nature of our relationship, when I've never met you, but it's like I feel like I know you. So thank you for everything you do on that show. You've taken it to a different level. I think you're tremendous. So I just want to say that we appreciate.
I really appreciate that. It's an honor to be on the show with you guys. I love this show. I support it. I watch it all the time. Yeah, get me Bronstetter. Get me anybody. I'm challenging anybody. Let's go. I'm ready to go. He or she, I need to work up on. But other than that, I'm ready to go, boys. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Brother. Appreciate you, man.
See you, bud. Take care of that hand and wrist, Winnie.
I will. See you guys.
All right, man. Hey, Cody Merrow, get your ass on the screen for a minute.
What's up?
What's happening?
What's up? I just wanted to come. I'm the only one that's out here touting this, and on Sunday I'm going to look like a G because Lauren, aka Barb Honchak Murphy, is going to go in there and win a decision against Miesha Tate. That's my dog prediction for the weekend.
You think so?
I think. Well,
I don't know. Miesha Tate looks like in great shape. She's pushing really hard in. The only thing that's getting me a little bit is where she's like looking ahead way too much. Where I win this fight, I'm gonna fight for the title, And when people
Just
do
like
that,
Strickland.
it messes them up a little bit. Yeah.
She's talking about Shevchenko. Like, oh, everyone would like to fight Shevchenko. You guess what, Misha? You hear, that's a dog in the corner, Lauren Murphy. Like, Lauren Murphy ain't giving up. Lauren Murphy ain't tapping for nothing. That
The
fight
one
goes
thing
to a
I'll
decision.
say,
Go.
the one thing I'll say about Lauren Murphy though is like, COVID's a weird sickness, right? And she had it a couple weeks ago.
And she had colitis for the Shevchenko fight.
So I just,
She
I'm
on,
curious,
like
like,
pants the whole fight. That's tough.
yeah. And my first thing was
Boys.
she committed to this. I mean, maybe she had no symptoms of COVID whatsoever, but it's like, there's no way I'm, for example, running the way I was running before I had COVID yet. So I'm curious if Lauren Murphy's really going to be 100%.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing last week with Fazeev, where he had COVID too, and I was like, oh, how's he gonna come? But man, he looked great. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's
crazy.
a certain welterweight who had COVID and didn't fight for a year, so so it just impacts some people more than others. But no, I think women's MMA, like Petrie said, like, I mean, most of the time, 80% of the time, you're going to decision. So I'm more so betting on like it going to a decision and Lauren winning a muddy ass fight and everyone being like, oh, that was bullshit. Like Misha won. And then I'm going to sit there with my dog money and I'm going to be fine. So that's what I'm just, part of this is also like a bit of just a contrarian pick. So I do have a gentleman's bet with Ian Parker for dinner if Lauren Murphy pulls through for me, but we'll see.
We will.
Oh, Ian picked Misha? All right, I'm going with Ian.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, he's the one who gets paid for it, right?
How'd Bully's Bix do last week, by the way?
We weren't that bad. We were all right. I think I got the main event obviously right. Who's a co-main?
Oh, asking the wrong guy.
I'm about to bring it up right now. I watched it, but I don't remember.
So Bilal, I was gonna have
It
Cody
was
bring this up.
Bohayo versus Petrosian.
Oh yeah, man. I picked Petrosian, one of my boys. We were on. I thought he was just because he had that war with Gregory before that, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's a dog." But then I'm looking at that fight. I'm watching him in the third round. You lost the first 2 rounds, and he what's his face is on the floor, and he's just kicking his legs. And I'm like, "Bro, you need a knockout. Let him up on his feet." And it was such a dumb low IQ move. And I'm like, "Why are you not letting him up?" There was like 2 minutes left, and then he just literally kicking him on the floor, kicking his legs. And I was like, "What are you doing right now? Like, you need a finish. You need a knockout." It like made no sense. And I didn't know his wrestling was that weak. He was just getting taken down with no takedown setups. He was just getting taken down super easy, falling out to the ground. Petrosian looked like a beast at first, but that's a big hole in his game.
Well, the fights that surprised me in that card were the ones that I was most confident in too, which just goes to show like you can watch a sport every weekend and then sometimes you just feel like you don't know shit. Like you had Kakramanov winning the first fight, Bully, and then you had Roberson in the second fight, where I've been fading Roberson for years. But then you get screwed on the Johnson Malarkey fight.
Oh, that was a big one. That one right there. I felt so bad for Michael Johnson because he looked so good.
How many times has he gotten screwed too? I just feel like
I thought he got screwed. I thought that he won that fight. Did you watch that fight, Jason?
Yeah, and like I know that everyone wants to say, "Oh, well, he got a bonus." Well, but it's not that simple. It's
it changes everything. Yeah, that loss put you back. So if he would have won that one, that would have been a 2-fight winning streak. And you would have got still half your pay plus the bonus regardless. And
at that stage of his career too.
And regardless if I'm a fighter, I don't care if I lose. Like, I don't care about the bonus. I want to win. The win means the most money to me. Yeah.
Exactly. And he's got a sneaky big name. So a win is important, especially at this stage.
It's coming off a fight like that. He would have got definitely, I think, a big name fight. That he could have snuck into an Diaz fight with that win too, just because, like you said, his name's such a big name. It was like I think it was like the memory of him fighting Gaethje and how good that fight was. So it was all around that time, and then you could just tell that he's been pushing a lot harder. Last time I was in Vegas when he got that knockout. I worked that card, and Henry Hoof was telling me like how much harder he's working and like how the whole team had his back on that one and how much it meant for him to win that fight by knockout. And this fight, he looked so good. He got dropped at the end of the first, but he still dropped Malarkey at the beginning of the first. And I thought his strike was harder. And I thought that he should have took the first round. I think that was the one that everybody was trying to figure out. Well, he got dropped at the end of the round, and some judges gave the other guy the first round, and it came out to that first round.
Yep.
Dude, and absolutely just crazy. I mean, Michael Johnson's career is crazy, but what a time in MMA. Like, just makes me, I just want to wax poetic nostalgia. Like, Michael Johnson in 2015, okay? He fought Edson Barbosa, then Beneil Dariush, Nate Diaz had a canceled fight against Ferguson, Dustin Poirier, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Justin Gaethje, Darren Elkins, Andre Fili, and then the fucking GOAT Artem Lobov, and then Josh Emmett. Like, this dude's resume is like reading off the lightweight top 15.
Yeah, he's fought some of the, but like you said, he's the guy that's always going to be in there. And he gave a lot of these guys battles. He knocked out Dustin Poirier. So I think he's just a guy that just wants that momentum, man. It's all about momentum. Like, if he would have won this fight, I think it would have changed a lot for him. But now you have that loss, and it's like, where is his head at now? Where is, like, I know he was pushing it harder for these last two camps. Maybe now loss is like, man, fudge. Maybe I don't belong here type thing. This newcomer just beat me, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, it came down to a judge's decision.
Tough one. Anyway, well, dude, love it. UFC, ABC, 11 a.m. prelims, 2 p.m. main cards. I'm sure Bully's Bics will be released on Instagram, so get them while they're hot. But anyway, dude, excited for your fight, man. Excited for Sean Brady to feel what it's like to be in the cage with Bilal. Remember the name Muhammad. Anyway, pick up your gear. Remember the shop? Still going strong, right?
We're still going hard right now.
Remember the shop, Anik and Florian Podcast Network. You can pick up your gear there. We appreciate you, Brian, Big Gun Petrie. We appreciate you. For Bilal Muhammad, I'm Jason Anik. We'll see you next Thursday. Thank you. Have a good night.
Peace.